permits for foreigners are supposed to be given for work which no Kenyan can do. When a fellow Chinese who cannot speak English is manning a gate and Kenyans are looking for jobs, what are you talking about, you fellows? Let's get to the bottom of this matter quickly. Lastly, can we afford 1 million shillings a day? What are you saying? These people are like, this thing is going to become like the port of Sierra Leone and Sri Lanka. We are going to sell our national treasure to these people. 66% of our debt, and it's growing, is to the Chinese. If you don't wake up and smell coffee, senators, and Kasakaja, I thank you for bringing this up. This is going to be something. They have given me problems. Senator was telling me about Imale Primary School. They split a school into two. The railway line is in the middle. The school is destroyed. They've refused to repair it. When they go to Makueni, when we complain, they go and bribe the teachers, give them 200,000, 300,000. We have a crisis. Sultan Ahmud had a flood recently. Why? Because of the standard gauge railway. That's the first time we had a flood there. They've blocked all culverts because of raising the railway. Let's get to the bottom of this matter, or history is going to judge us so harshly when we begin paying and selling our country to the Chinese, when we give them the port of Mombasa, Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, and part of Kenya, which we will give to the Chinese. I call it the road to Shanghai. Thank you.
There are three things that we need to consider. First, we need to consider what is the Chinese plan. The Chinese are building a new Silk Road. Okay, this Silk Road is both in terms of road, it's rail, and it's ports across Africa, Europe, and Asia. Why are they doing this? Because they want to be the center of commerce. That is their idea. And this idea has to be understood with the mind of a Shylock. If you go to a Shylock and he determines you do not have money to pay him back, and he tells you, give me your title deed, I will give you 5,000 shillings, and your title deed is worth 500,000, he is very sure that you will default and he will get the land. Therefore, the Chinese mentality in loaning countries that can hardly afford to pay them back the money to build this infrastructure is they are willing to lose the money to gain the infrastructure. That is the Chinese mindset. The mindset of African countries, and I hope Kenya is an exception, though the signs tell me they are not, is that any money is good money from whoever. And therefore, what we have done is, in the need to expedite our infrastructure and expedite the process of our development, we've taken on more than we can chew. The third mindset is now specific to the SGR. Is it a viable project? There are two ways to look at infrastructure. You can look at infrastructure that pays for itself in terms of the other parts of the economy. Public transport in much of the world is subsidized by the government. So what the government of Kenya is doing is not exceptional. The question we have to ask is there enough business generated and jobs generated out of the SGR to justify its existence? And that might not be justifiable now. It may be justifiable in 10, 13 years, but we have to prove that the year-on-year growth of the transportation of goods and not necessarily people is going to increase to a level where it makes sense. However, let us not forget that the trains we got are diesel-powered trains. This is nothing special. So we are balancing on the knife edge. And what is needed is careful economic planning and management of SGR, because it will either be our train to success or it will be a train wreck. But when it comes to how we are handling Chinese nationals, to hiring 1,200 engineers per sector from China, my dear brothers and sisters watching me, we have enough engineers in this country, and many of them sit jobless. Many of them have left their careers because of situations like this. What the government needs to do with speed is give priority to Africans. In fact, at the very least, I would expect that if there are 500 Chinese engineers, there is 600 Kenyan engineers on the basis of maybe they're learning from them.